As we just saw, Ian is hitting Cuba right now. NBC News correspondent Guad Venegas is in Havana this morning. Guad, good morning to you. I know Ian made landfall earlier this morning on the western tip of Cuba. That's about 100 or so miles from where you are in Havana. What are you hearing about conditions there?
Joe, good morning. So in Havana, we're getting the edge of the storm. So we know that it made landfall, as you mentioned earlier this morning. As of now, the hurricane is still going over this part of Cuba. Now, the province of Pinar del Rio is where they took the biggest hit. That's where it hit as a Category 3. The sun rose just minutes ago, and we're getting reports of damages to the structures. The power has been shut off in the entire province. As of now, people are going out to see what has happened. We were reporting that they expected a sea rise of up to 14 feet. Of course, all of these damages will be able to see them now that the sun has risen. 50,000 people were evacuated from the most vulnerable areas by the military. As of yesterday, they were taken to structures in other parts of the province. Now, this is a very rural part of Cuba. This is an area where they have all the famous tobacco farms. This is an area of agricultural production. So a lot of the buildings in this area were considered much more vulnerable. Now, the first information we have received this morning is that some of those structures have sustained damages. Again, it's been minutes since the sun rose, so people are going outside right now to see what happened. Now, the reports we were able to find on social media overnight, now mind you, the power was shut off and it's very difficult to communicate, but some people were able to post to social media, and they said it was the wind that felt the worst. We, of course, have the rain and we have all of the limitations with the power, but it was the wind that people said was just terrible. We were able to also see some videos on social media of people trying to hold their doors and their windows down as the hurricane made its way through this area of Pinar del Rio. Over 500,000 people live in this province, so we will be updating in the next few hours to see what kind of damage the hurricane has made as it's still going through this part of Cuba, Joe.
Guad, do people feel like they had enough time and resources to prepare for Ian?
Well, people had time to prepare as best as they could, but when it comes to resources, a place like Cuba has a lot of limitations. The food is rationed here, so the people were able to try and buy a little extra food. In fact, the government food stores allowed for more rations to be sold as of yesterday, and the expectation that a lot of these stores would be closing. There's also improvised markets where some people would sell extra food that they had, produce and things like this, so others would come buy from them. So with the limitations that a place like Cuba has, people had to prepare as best as they could. Now, when it comes to protecting structures, evacuations, moving people, all of this is handled by the government, and they have a branch, this is the civil defense. They are the ones in charge of making these preparations, but we'll have to see today what kind of damage is there and how long the food stores will be shut down and what people will have to go through for the next day or two, Joe.
All right, Guad Venegas reporting from Havana, Cuba. Guad, stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.